Ready.
Okay, we're live in 3, 2, 1, action.
It's the Redonkulous podcast starring Annie and Jeff and my coolest guy in the world whose name is James. It's Redonkulous.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Redonkulouspodcast, where when life gets tough, we get redonkulous. This is season 2, episode 5. I'm Jeff, and I'm joined today by Annie and James. We are the hosts with the most. Say hello, guys.
Hello.
Welcome.
Episode 15.
What did I say?
You said 5.
Plus 10. So today we have a very special episode today and a very special guest. But before we get to that, let's plug our socials. We are on Instagram, Redonkulous Podcast. You can find us on Google Podcast, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. And don't forget to check out our Teespring. We have some merch out, and those are linked in the description below. So be sure to check that out. Without further ado, let's welcome our guest. Today's guest is very, very special. His name is Jeff, so already he's off to a great start. He is a registered dietitian who enjoys exercising, gardening, spending time with his fiance, 2 cats, and his fish tanks. He is an avid sports fan who loves to play basketball in his spare time. His favorite food is sushi, and his favorite color is orange. In preparation for this podcast, he asked his fiance what to write in his intro, and she mentioned that he likes to watch The Bachelor and he is an altruistic person. Guys, please give the warmest and biggest welcome to our guest, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. It's an honor.
Jeff, how you doing, first of all?
Doing good. It's quarantine day 30, whatever at this point. So, I'm as good as I can be, I guess, but healthy. So.
Yeah, I mean, just look at my hair. My hair is a freaking mess. I gotta mow the lawn soon.
Well, look at my hair. I mean, come on. But mine's premeditated. It was definitely well planned out. So if you put some time into yours, it can look great. So
Nice.
Hey. I gotta go back to Annie's barbershop.
That's right.
I have my barbershop setting up soon. ETL
Yeah, I know.
Wednesday.
Can't wait to see that. But Jeff, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and what you do?
I have another degree in journalism that I got prior to becoming a dietitian, but really my background is mostly in nutrition. And I got my bachelor's degree in nutrition from Long Island University, CW Post on Long Island. And I then went to get my internship in, you have to do a dietetic internship. It's part of your schooling. And so I was able to do that through Northwell Health, very large healthcare system. We're all here in New York, I guess. So, or I don't even know if we are. It doesn't matter. Anyway, and then I started working for a New York Presbyterian Queens. It's in Flushing, and I worked there as a dietitian. My background, though, I'm mostly in clinical dietetics, so I have more interest in patients when they are in a hospital or an acute care setting. I've also worked in a long-term care setting as well, and that's where my dietetics background mostly is as far as what I do currently today.
Cool.
So what made you decide to be a dietitian?
So I always, throughout my life growing up as a kid, I never really ate very healthfully. It was kind of like McDonald's all the time, Burger King. I'd come home from school and I wouldn't eat lunch because I was on Ritalin because I was crazy. So I would just go home and I'd eat an entire box of Cheez-Its for like lunch/dinner. And that would be pretty much all I would eat. And as I grew up and I got older, the habits didn't really change. And I kind of, I was in journalism and it wasn't really for me at the time. And I was saying to myself, well, what am I going to do with my life? And I felt that maybe I should immerse myself in something that is something that I struggle with. And so I decided to just try out one nutrition class at Post. And, I really kind of fell in love with it. Food is something that we all take in like every single day, and yet I knew nothing about it. And so I thought, well, if I'm going to make a lifestyle change, then, I really need to immerse myself. Plus it works out because I like to work out. And so you really see better results when you have good nutrition. So
That's awesome. So
yeah.
what does your diet look like now today?
So my diet today is, it varies. I try not to deprive myself of anything. I kind of feel like it's important.
Like McDonald's?
Yeah, like McDonald's. Like every now and then McDonald's is okay. But, so like typically for breakfast, I like eggs, or a bagel with some toast, maybe some avocado in there. Sprinkle a little paprika on there. It's good stuff. Lunch is usually some type of chicken or fish or turkey or something like that, with grilled or steamed vegetables. And then dinner is kind of whatever's left over. So it could be pasta, it could be pizza one night, it could be leftover chicken or beef or anything like that. Nothing too crazy. Your pretty typical American diet with like a semi-healthful twist to it.
Minus a couple of Whoppers here and there, some fries.
Yeah. The Whopper and fries here or there too, look.
Our common friend Christine, shout out to Christine. She actually showed us a video of you buttering your bagel.
Unbelievable. Unreal.
Is there a story behind that?
There is. So we all work in the same office. So like, you come in the morning, everyone gets their breakfast at the hospital. It's free if you are in the food and nutrition department, which is a nice perk. You get $10 a day for breakfast. So I usually get the same breakfast every single day, and they all make fun of me for it, but I usually get 3 or 4 scrambled eggs, and then I get a bagel, and then I usually get like a bottle of water and like maybe yogurt or something like that. And so every morning I come into the office, and there's usually not a computer, because we have staggered shifts. So I'm waiting for a computer. So I'm sitting and eating my lunch or my breakfast, excuse me. And I toast my bagels pretty dark, so they're kind of like crispy. So I take out the cream cheese or the butter or whatever, and I start buttering it, and it makes like a really, like, I guess whatever the spreading sound is. And so Christine has used it as a way to seek comfort. It reminds her of home. So now, anytime I do it, they all love to record it and then play it on loop in our work group chat over and over and over and over and over.
I wonder if somehow we can get that as a ringtone.
You probably could. It might even be like an ASMR thing, just have someone like whisper in the background while that's going on. You're buttering the bagel. Like something like that,
I want to shift a little bit and talk about your work at the hospital. So it's different. You're not working with customers or clients, but with these patients, do you just observe what they eat and then you kind of administer a type of diet plan for them? What does your work at the hospital look like?
So it depends, I guess, really on the given day. You're right. It is different than wellness nutrition. I think a lot of people think of dietitian as somebody you go to when you want them to tell you what and how to eat and, and to yell at you for eating X, Y, and Z. That's not really what we do. We're involved more with, again, as you said, sick patients. So my role would be to go and do an interview with the patients, ask them, about their past medical history. If they have any food allergies, we talk about their diet history, appetite, weight loss. So we're really focusing more on a clinical perspective. What are their nutritional needs and how can we meet them? So is somebody malnourished? Is somebody not eating enough? Is someone lacking their protein intake? And then we do devise diets. So there's several different diets. You can put somebody on, a lower protein diet, a higher protein diet. You can put somebody on a diabetic diet or cardiac, low sodium. And then there's also the patients who in our population, don't necessarily eat orally. They actually might have had a stroke in the past, or they could have dysphagia and they're not able to swallow foods. And so then we have to do things like they call tube feeds, and enteral nutrition is the fancy name for it. Pretty much where the doctors will put a feeding tube down into the stomach, and there's like a little syringe that kind of hangs out of their stomach, like an opening, and you feed them through a pump. And so we come up with the formula and the rate of the feeding and the drip rate and everything like that. And that's pretty cool.
I wonder, can you sell that? Is that a mainstream thing that you can buy? Let's say if I didn't want to, for whatever reason, time saving reasons, like if I just wanted that to go.
If you decided you wanted to save time and no longer eat, yes.
Hey, listen, you're driving. In my line of work, I'm driving on the road. You know, I could just drink it like a shake, I guess. You know.
Yeah, it's actually sold commercially. You actually could buy it like on Amazon.
It is.
And you just need to get somebody to, perform the procedure so it goes straight into your stomach and you're good.
I was just thinking of like drinking it. You don't need to, like.
I didn't know how far you wanted to go with this. I was gonna say, you could not eat if you'd like. No, you actually can drink it too. Yeah, it goes down orally, so you could literally go out and buy it and take it, and it will give you your full complement of vitamins, minerals, protein, calories, everything you need. What? It's pretty crazy.
So it's kind of like a supplement drink in a way?
Yeah, so they have like fancy names for them, like Jevity and like Glucerna, but like they're really just it's like this liquid food that comes from like liver and just different meats and vegetables and stuff like that. It's like synthetic kind of it has real food derivatives, but there's like a lot of like synthetic stuff in there as well. But it's so if you were looking for like an organic whole foods diet, it's probably not for you. But if you can't eat orally, it is for you. So, that's kind of how it goes.
I'm just thinking because recently, if you guys been listening to the podcast, I started Insanity Max 30 with Sean T, that crazy program. And then during the breaks, he loves to plug his E&E shake. He's like, guys, go get your E&E shake. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, there's a lot of gimmicks out there with that kind of stuff, like all these cleanses and everything like that. I don't really subscribe to it. But I mean, these tube feeds will definitely work if you want to maintain your weight and just skip food for the rest of your life. I mean, you're good to go.
You mentioned protein, and then I want to touch base because our mutual friend Christine was a vegetarian at some point and a pescatarian. Right, and I'm a vegetarian. So what is your personal opinion on the vegetarian diet, and what is a healthy way that you can maintain that?
It's a good question. So I'm a big believer in plant-based diet. That doesn't mean that you should entirely just consume vegetables all day, all the time, and then just totally neglect meat. I think meat has its place as long as you eat it in moderation and you choose leaner proteins like fish and chicken. In turkey and things like that. But as far as a vegetarian lifestyle is perfectly fine. The way you would get your complements in protein is you need to eat a lot of beans and you need to eat a lot of whole grains. So what do I mean by whole grains? I mean like brown rice as opposed to like white rice. Quinoa is a good example of one. It's actually complete protein in itself, quinoa, but there's other whole grains out there, like there's farro, whole grain pastas that you can eat, all different kinds of stuff out there.
So basically, just make sure that your significant other is okay with gases.
Yes, correct. It's gonna be rough, but you'll make it through. You'll be all right.
I'm already used to it.
There you go. Yeah.
So, what kind of problems do you face if you don't get enough protein?
So the main thing, as we get older, we technically don't need as much protein, but if you don't get adequate protein, you're going to really what they call sarcopenia, which is a breakdown of the muscles. So you can find yourself, having less energy, being a little bit more fatigued, and also just not having the same muscle mass, it makes you susceptible to, not recovering as well from a lot of different things, especially if you have an outward physical injury, like if you were to fall and injure a bone or injure a muscle without adequate protein, it can't really repair itself as well. And then internally as well, if you don't have enough protein, eventually there's something called like edema, which is like a fluid buildup that you can get in your body due to a lack of protein. It's like your body just does not know how to properly allocate like fluids without adequate protein. it's without sparing you all the medical stuff.
So you get
It's pretty.
swollen?
Yeah, you get swollen actually. Yeah.
Where does the
Where?
liquid build up? Like the
So
whole
it
body,
actually
or?
yeah, it goes throughout the body, but because of gravity, it'll actually mostly build up in your feet and your legs over time.
Oh.
Yeah, and so if you don't have enough protein, that's why sometimes in patients we'll see like that they're all swollen. Like, why are these people all swollen? They don't have any heart problems, they don't have any kidney problems, and it turns out that they just don't have enough protein. It's just one of the side effects of it.
That reminds me of an analogy that I've heard about vitamins. So, especially how vitamin C and vitamin D interact. From what my understanding is that vitamin D acts like a traffic cop. It directs the vitamin C where to go. Is that similar to how protein, what you were talking about with protein?
Yeah, it essentially is that protein. Yeah, I like to think of it as kind of like the gatekeeper. And if you don't have anybody watching the gate, then anybody can just open it and go wherever they want throughout the body.
What the?
Yeah, it's crazy. Now, most young people, honestly, in this country, to be perfectly honest with you, we get way more protein than we actually need. Maybe not you because you're a vegetarian, but everybody else, because we love to eat meat in this country, and we just eat it for like lunch and dinner. And some people, honestly, are like sausage bacon every morning, and it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And it is way, way, way too much protein to the point where your kidneys are just like, I'm just going to pee this out. And like, that's just kind of what happens. So
How do you tell people that? How do you tell them to scale back?
So I think the biggest thing is once you hear someone's like how you have to really listen to what they're eating in their diet, and then you kind of have to establish like a baseline for them. And you also need to judge based on somebody's height, their weight, their age, if they're male or female. And then if you can determine that they're having too much, I think the best thing to do is to just talk about incorporation of other types of foods in place. I don't like to ever tell people to take away things. I think it's always better to add more healthful things or in place of, rather than using terminology like you should cut back on this or cut back on that. I don't really think it's effective. So if someone was having too much chicken or too much beef or something like that, I'd say, well, how about instead of that 8-ounce steak, let's do 6 ounces of steak and let's add some broccoli to your plate. Something.
What if they're like, oh yeah, instead of removing the McDonald's, why don't we add on Burger King?
I mean, look, you know what? I'm also kind of a firm believer in, you should enjoy your life, and if you want to have Burger King, then God bless, because
Have you ever tried the Beyond or Impossible burgers?
I have. They're gonna take away my license now. I have had the Impossible Whopper, and I gotta say, I do notice a difference. It does taste like artificial plant instead of artificial beef. So I think you can tell a difference for sure. I don't know if it's even healthier, to be honest with you, because
it's pretty salty too, to be honest. After
Yeah,
having
it's the
it a
same.
couple times, it's really salty.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it or no?
I liked it because, like I said, for my line of work, I'm usually in the field. I'm always on the go. So things such as Burger King or even Taco Bell, I love it. One of the things, and this is so bad, one of the things that I'm looking forward to most post-quarantine is getting that Taco Bell. I need my 7-layer
Qdoba.
burrito. I need my Qdoba. I love that stuff.
You're not kidding. Look, we're dietitians are human too, I love that stuff also. There's nothing like a 3 a.m. like I don't know,
Taco Bell,
cheese quesadilla or something like that.
White Castle.
White Castle too is dangerous. Dangerous. Oh,
What are your views on alcohol?
So I personally, I have Crohn's disease, which is a disease of the infection, and it's an autoimmune disease. So I'm not really able to drink a lot of alcohol. This is something I found out that I had in 2016. So it's ironic. Yeah. So it doesn't really allow me to drink a lot of alcohol because it's inflammatory disease. So when I drink alcohol, my intestines, it becomes very painful. So it's not for me, but I feel that if others want to enjoy themselves with some wine or even some vodka, some type of, just liquor, I think that that's perfectly fine. If you want to have beer, that's cool too. Just beer is kind of a lot of empty calories and a lot of carbohydrates that are just going to sit in your belly. Unless you're going to go and run a marathon after you have a ton of beer and burn it all those calories, those
So on that
carbohydrates.
totem pole, beer is on the bottom, very bottom.
Yeah. Correct. But I believe in alcohol. I think because dietitians, a lot of us are accused of just strictly diet based, but it also really has to do with your lifestyle. And if one of the ways to help you maintain a relatively healthful lifestyle is to relax with a little bit of alcohol, every now and then, I think is perfectly fine.
I have a friend that he drinks at least one time a week. Not a lot, maybe a glass or a beer.
Is
And
that
says,
Jeff?
Yeah.
He said one time. That can't beat me.
And he says that he believes that drinking it, the alcohol will kind of clean out the liver in a way.
He's
Is
talking
that
about
true?
himself. No.
So I don't necessarily believe that to be true.
Okay.
There are in red wine, there's an antioxidant effect, so something that will help keep it's supposed to keep your arteries clear. I don't know about cleaning out your liver, but it can be. There are studies that suggest that having a glass of red wine a day actually can help reduce your risk for cardiovascular diseases. Sound like a doctor saying this weird stuff, but
Wow.
yeah, so that is true. I don't know about the liver aspect of it.
So what red wine would you recommend?
Well, since I don't drink it, look, a lot of people seem to really hate Merlot, so I would definitely avoid Merlot.
Here.
Yeah. Oh, you like Merlot or no?
No, I
No, you
don't
hate
like
it?
Merlot.
He doesn't like alcohol.
Well, here we are. I would say pretty much really any flavor, any of the red wines are fine. When you're drinking alcohol, you're not concerning yourself with the sugar content or anything like that. So, God bless, Godspeed. Have what you want.
Yeah, nobody cares about the sugar content. You're looking at the alcohol content.
That's right. That's
Only
right.
you.
Yeah. So let's say if you have allergies, is it possible to get rid of allergies and boost up your immune system by changing your diet and exercise?
So there's some research out there that suggests that over time you can decrease your allergies to certain foods through slow immersion to it. I have another coworker who has been allergic to nuts her entire life, and slowly but surely she's been working with an allergist, and I guess now she's able to eat certain nuts, and she's also able to eat salmon now. And I think she was gradually reintroduced to the food in the office in a controlled setting. And so it reduced her allergies to those foods. If you're referencing seasonal allergies, there isn't necessarily a diet that is statistically validated to suggest that you can reduce seasonal allergies through your lifestyle. Unfortunately, I only deal in the world of science because if I don't, I'll lose my job. So
I feel like I am slightly allergic to spicy food, but I love it. Every time I eat spicy food, my head gets all itchy, but I still love eating it.
Is head itching allergic reaction, or just the plant taking out all the toxins?
Yeah, I think it's the steam coming out, but that I wish I could speak to that. That I don't know. I also am not a connoisseur of spicy foods, unfortunately, due to the Crohn's disease as well, and also just being a huge baby. So,
In terms of allergies, the seasonal allergies is a lot of the cause environmental. Because I know a lot of people who come here for the first time here, as in America, they prior, they do not have allergies, or their allergy symptoms are not that present, and they've noticed that, especially some of my relatives who've come here from Taiwan for the first time, their allergies just get worse Is it an environmental factor? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that in our environment here, it's different in every single country. So what you're alluding to, I think that we just might also have different trees, different oxygen, different like pollutants and allergens actually just floating around in our particular part of the world than others. So the seasonal allergies could just get worse because you've had a lack of exposure to these things and you never previously built up any kind of like antibodies or anything like that. So your body is just kind of having a reaction because it doesn't really have a way to process it.
So
if that makes
the
sense.
reverse is true too. Let's say if we were to go and move to Australia or whatnot, we could all of a sudden start having allergies that we didn't have before.
That's right. Yeah, because you don't, the allergic response in the body actually comes from the protein in the allergen. It's like your body's reacting to the protein. So I guess if really you've never been exposed to it, your body's kind of like, well, what the hell is this? And starts to react to try to like find a way to let you know that shit's pissing me off because it's making my nose itchy.
So that specifically, like you said, the immersion technique that you referred to earlier, that doesn't apply to this type of allergy at all.
No. That was in reference to food allergies. Yeah, that's why like now they
That'd
say
be hilarious. Like, oh my God, something's pissing your body off. Let me stick more of it into my nose.
I know, incredible, right? I wish. But it's actually nowadays, and I hate to drag you off your topic, but they're now saying like, when we were growing up as kids, they didn't want to give kids peanuts too young and stuff like that. They were afraid of like peanut allergies. Now they're saying toddlers like ages 1, 2, 3 years old, you should be giving them things like fish, peanuts, and milk and other common allergens to build up like a tolerance to it, the antibodies for it. It's interesting.
Yeah. We have a almost 1-year-old. I gave him peanut butter when he was around 8 months old, and he's fine. So I just wanted to try it out too because I was scared that he was going to be allergic to it.
Yeah, I would actually give him, this is not medical advice, I just want a disclaimer, but I would recommend you can continue to give him the peanut butter and try to incorporate that, because as he gets older and he's in the school, you don't want him to be that peanut allergy guy, Nobody likes that.
Annie, what about Serena? So our niece has a walnut allergy.
Walnut.
It's made up a new nut. She has a walnut allergy.
Right.
Yeah.
And
she's okay with peanuts, but when she eats almonds or tree nuts, she'll get like really itchy and she'll like try to scratch her tongue.
Yeah, she's probably one of the millions with the tree nut allergy. I wonder if she was, how old is she?
She's 2.5.
I don't see, the problem is that they make these suggestions in nutrition all the time about like, oh, this is what you should do. And then they find out 5 years later that you should do the complete opposite. Like it's, I don't know if immersing, you get the point, in the nuts would have actually benefited her or not, or even if she had been previously and then the allergy just kind of surfaced now. I'm not sure, I think working with an allergist, you can eventually overcome these food allergies. Some people, if they're mild allergies, if you go into anaphylactic shock and you can't breathe, that's probably not the allergy you want to work on.
Yeah, you probably should avoid those walnuts.
Yeah, I think so.
Walnuts.
Walnuts, yeah.
I actually tested that out too. Last year I was like developing mild allergic reactions to avocado. Like my throat will get a little bit of itchy.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh no.
Yeah, okay. So it got a little itchy, and then
toast.
and then I watched my diet, exercise every day, and then I started, testing out eating a little bit of avocado, and then I wasn't getting the reactions like the throat itchiness I was getting before. So I'm just wondering, maybe exercising every day, watching my food intake helped with my immunity or my allergic reaction, possibly.
That is a possibility. I it's possible. I don't 100% know for sure, unfortunately. But it could be that you boosted your immune system by taking care of yourself a little bit better. So it's possible that the immune response was less. I don't fully know 100%. I do know, though, that there's made-up allergies. Like my shellfish allergy is also made up. It was really just my mom telling me when I was a kid, because we were Jewish, and she didn't want me eating shellfish. So she was like, "You're allergic to shellfish. You can't eat them. That's it." I'm like, "Are you sure?" "Yes." And that's it.
When did you find out that you were not allergic to shellfish?
When I was tricked into eating like scallops in like my freshman year of college. It was not fun.
You were tricked?
Oh my god!
I was tricked. See, I didn't know what it was. It was like mixed in like a sandwich, and so I just kind of bit into it. Like there was it was like a bunch of vegetables. There was a whole bunch of stuff in there. It was like vegetables and a bunch of different sauces, and I didn't know there was like fish ones and there was chicken ones, and I thought I was having the chicken one. I'm like, these are chicken, right? And my fraternity brother was like, oh yeah. And I ate it, and I was like, this doesn't taste like anything. This is weird. What is this? And I'm like, oh yeah, that was the fish one. That was scallops. So I was like, oh, I guess I'm not allergic. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what happens to me when I ask people, is this vegetarian? They're like, yeah.
It's true. It's true. Do you find that being a vegetarian, it's challenging for you to like find something to eat outside of like a salad at a lot of places?
Yes and no. Yes, because I hate salads. And no, because I found there's a lot of vegetarian options nowadays out there. Yeah. I mean, we can debate on how healthy it is, just like the Impossible Whopper. But most places that I go to, they either have a vegetarian option or they can prepare a vegetarian option. So nowadays, no, not really. And I think it also helps because my mother and my sister are both vegetarians as well. And my mom is a phenomenal cook. So that definitely helps a lot.
Pre-COVID, we used to love, I used to love going on Yelp and just searching on restaurants that have like vegetarian options or like vegetarian restaurants in general. And it's just kind of fun because we go out and explore and try new food.
Are you vegetarian as well?
No.
Okay. All right. But you got to find something suitable for him. It's like having a kid, right? Yeah, you gotta
that's
make sure
the
there's
tough
something
part.
I can eat.
Yeah, that's the tough part, but it's fun.
That's good. That's cool. Because I give you guys a lot of credit, a lot of respect, because I could never do vegetarian. I mean, I struggle with like this whole meatless Monday thing. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but I can barely do that. Like it's rough. I usually have some kind of meat for lunch, like almost every single day. So I don't know how you guys do it. I give you credit.
Why did you start Meatless Mondays?
Because it was like this initiative at like Long Island, like when I went to school for my bachelor's. So like, oh, you should have meat. You should be reducing plant-based diet, reducing the amount of meat in your diet. So they're like, everybody should do Meatless Monday. One day a week, you can do it. You can cut it out.
I really want to meet this guy. I mean, if your impression is spot on, I think he'd be a fun guy to talk to.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He seems to say a lot of things, and he's always being impersonated. I don't know, but yeah, Meatless Monday became like Massacre Monday, like depressed Monday. It's terrible.
Oh man.
I want to backtrack a little bit. I want to ask you. Going back to your hospital work, why did you choose specifically hospital work? Is it fulfilling? Because I know you mentioned like there are other dietitians that you can work with clients. Was that a path that you considered? Why did you choose your current path?
Good question. So I think as far as being like a one-on-one dietitian seeing clients, a private practice, I really don't believe in gimmick nutrition and quick fixes. And I'm very honest, and I really tell people not what they want to hear. I tell them what I truly believe. And it's not conducive to a lot of what people want. People want a quick fix. They want like, tell me what to eat, breakfast, lunch, dinner, what's my meal plan? And I don't really subscribe to that. I kind of think you make slow, gradual changes and you live with yourself and you kind of, and that doesn't really sell clients nowadays. I'm also not really like, posting pictures of my beach body all over Instagram and stuff like that. So that's definitely one thing. But as far as working in the hospital, I always knew I wanted to work in the clinical setting. I always feel like you can really give back more that way, working with people who truly could really need your help. There is a drawback, people aren't always willing to and ready to make changes the same way they are when they come to you, or presumptively they are when they come to you in like a one-on-one setting. But even if you can just make a small difference, like educate somebody on their diabetes or educate somebody on their kidney disease, that's like the fulfillment that I get, because these are skills for life, nutrition. These are things that are always going to apply, and everybody eats food. So, it's just the little things that I find joy in. I could have 9 out of 10 patients tell me like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. I'm not here for nutrition. I broke my leg, whatever. I'm not here for that. But if the one person was just kind of receptive and said, oh, I didn't know that, okay, I'll go home and I'll try that. Like that's what it's all about for me. I always wanted to do clinical for those reasons. So
how's hospital life right now during this epidemic? And do you have any COVID patients that you're working with?
So our entire hospital, as of a week ago, was COVID pretty much. There was one unit that was not COVID. We had over 500 patients in our hospital, and we only had like 600 something beds total. So we were completely overrun. Wow. Fortunately, it's starting to get a little bit better, but since they're trying to, as we were talking about the PPE earlier, because they're trying to preserve them, they don't allow us to go up to the units. So we have to stay in the basement and do our work through the phone and try to call patients in their rooms and families and stuff like that. But you still feel like you're kind of in the hospital dealing with the patients, and it's not the same sense as the nurses and things like that. But you still hear all the different, they're calling codes all over the hospital. You can see the other staff are very stressed out. So it's not really a fun place to be, but it is getting better. And I am grateful that our boss allows us to stay safe in the basement and work remotely also as well.
Nice. You
That's
mentioned
great.
that you have a buddy system, right?
Yes, we do.
So why do you guys have buddy system? So
Christine is my buddy. And I didn't choose that. And
forced upon you.
So because half of us are working from remote, and then the other half of us are working in the hospital, and then we switch. And the reason for that is because there's like a bare bones staff minimum that they want at the hospital. So basically, so your buddy is there in case there's something that you need done in the hospital that you can't get done remotely, like you really need help tracking down a doctor or a nurse. There's other avenues that they could go to in the hospital to get that done. So Christine is the best buddy. So.
Nice. Do you guys have any questions you want to ask Jeff? If not, we're going to move to
Two truths, one lie.
Let's do it.
All right. So we're going to do two truths, one lie. And this is the segment where we have the guest lie to us and figure out which one is the truth and which one is the lie. So, Jeff, what do you have for us today?
Okay. In no particular order, I have that I broke my femur during a snowboarding accident when I was younger. I have my fiance and I almost both went to the hospital on our engagement night. And I have that I lived in a haunted apartment.
Oh, this is cool.
Wow. I have a question. Where is the femur?
Femur is in your leg. It is the big bone by your hip. It's a very large bone. It makes up the majority of your leg before you get to your knee.
That would be a bad accident.
Were you also snowboarding when you and your fiance went to the hospital?
No, we were not snowboarding when we almost went to the hospital.
So what happened in that situation?
Yeah, what happened?
Why?
So I'll give you the medium version like you gave me. So I had planned to, we just purchased a home together, and I was planning to propose, and I thought that it would be romantic of me to propose in the new house as we were kind of getting settled, kind of like a new life together type of a thing.
Oh, not in the haunted apartment.
No. This is not the haunted apartment.
Oh,
Correct.
okay.
So this is they're separate. Yes. So this is in the house. And we ended up going to Home Depot because we needed blinds, and I had the ring in my pocket.
So romantic.
And I said, wait a minute. Oh, well, of course. Do you think Home Depot? You think romance? So I ran back into the house, told her I had to go to the bathroom, and I lit candles and had everything all set up, the lights off. And so we, whatever, we come back from Home Depot, I propose, yada, yada, yada. But we were still unpacking all of our stuff. And I had an X-Acto knife, and I was slicing open boxes, and I looked away, and I actually sliced open my hand pretty bad.
Ooh.
And so then we were trying to take care of that. And while she's unpacking boxes, she left like a dumbbell on the coffee table, and then it started to roll and landed right on her foot.
Oh my God.
This was the same night?
She's like, she's in agony.
Oh my God.
So,
Oh, ouch.
yes.
Did you have to get stitches on your hand from the knife?
I was, you know what? I never actually went to the doctor. So,
what about her? Did her foot swell? Did she have enough protein that week?
It swelled up. And we iced it down, and the next morning she woke up and the thing was huge, but fortunately it doesn't look like she broke anything, because she kind of hit like the fleshy top part of her, like, that's not really that fleshy, but the top of her foot kind of a thing.
How heavy was that dumbbell?
8 pounds, but it fell a couple feet though.
Ooh, ouch.
Okay,
Yeah.
so number 2 is true.
Yeah.
Big details, huh? Yeah.
I want to know about the haunted apartment.
Me too.
That's always a good story.
Yeah. So the haunted apartment was back in college. I went in Buffalo. We had just moved into this apartment, and my roommates and I were probably a little bit screwed up. And I was hungry, and I went to go put a Hot Pocket. As you can tell, I was eating great. I put a Hot Pocket into the microwave, and the microwave was on, and I started pushing all of the buttons. And it was just like lit up, but like nothing was working. So I kept pressing and pressing and pressing the buttons. And then all of a sudden the thing beeps a couple of times, and then up on the microwave pops 666, the 3 digits.
No way.
The microwave, it kicks on, and it goes into like hyperdrive, and then all the lights kick out in the apartment, and we booked it, and we didn't come back. The next day we did come back. We slept out that night. The next day we came back. We stayed there the whole time. Everything was fine. But every now and then we would hear like it was almost as if you had a cat running in the attic, like you just hear those noises all the time, living there going forward.
No, that's crazy.
How long did you guys live there?
About 2 years.
2 years.
The microwave accident only happened once, and nobody believes me, and that's okay. And
what was the final straw that said, I gotta get out of here?
Well, we had his grandmother come and bless the house, and when that didn't work, I said, that's it, I'm graduating and I'm leaving. So that was it.
Wait, so the apartment owner's grandmother?
No. My roommate's grandmother came and blessed the house, and she put like sage everywhere. And
I seen her. She was on The Conjuring.
Yeah, that's right.
Did it work?
No.
That's why he moved.
Yes. Fortunately, graduation actually saved me, so I can move out of there, because I didn't want to stay in Buffalo.
Okay, now let's get back to the boring story then. The snowboarding. What happened?
So I was 9 years old or 10 years old, I think, and my friend was Catholic, a shock, and their church group was going on a snowboarding trip, and it was like an over one-day thing to Hunter Mountain, and I was invited, and I said, I've never snowboarded before, I don't want to do it. My mom's like, no, Jeffrey, you're going. So I got on the bus, and we drove up there, and they were giving away one free snowboarding lesson to anybody who had never done it before. And so they taught us like basic essentials of how to stop, and how to keep going. Lean
French
this
fry
way
and a
and
pizza.
that's actually for
That's
I think for
skiing.
skiing.
Oh, skiing. My bad.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, it's okay. Okay, so for the snowboarding, we went up on the lift, and we're on the bunny hills, of course. And I get off the lift, and I start trying to go down, and I'm going down, and then I say, wait a minute, like I don't know how to steer, so I start heading off of the trail slightly, not too far off to the right, and they had it like roped off with these big like poles sticking into the snow. And I didn't know how to stop myself, and I was getting really scared, and I'm going fast, so I throw myself backward, like just to get onto my butt, and I slid down, and I did it too late, and I slid down, and my entire leg smacked into the pole that was holding up the stanchions that were like gliding you off, and I was screaming and crying at bloody murder. And they called the EMT over, like the snow, whatever they are, the snow EMT, and they called them over, and they immediately immobilized my leg. They put me up on the stretcher, and then they got me in the ambulance. And fortunately, it's not too far. I don't think there's a hospital too far from there. And they drove me to the hospital. I spent 2 days in the hospital up there.
Wow.
And said that I had sustained a couple fractures in my femur, and that they weren't going to operate necessarily on it, but they have to. What they do is, it's called like microfractures. So what they do is they actually inject. They use they make small little fractures all around the big fracture to promote healing in the leg, and then I had to have a cast, and it was immobilized, and it had to. And I had to be like that for like 6 months, 7 months. I couldn't do anything. And when I took the cast off, that leg was super, super skinny and like really lacking protein and muscle. And it was,
that's the
good.
most dangerous
gosh.
bunny slope I've ever heard of.
No.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay. I'm iffy on number 1 and number 3, but I'm kind of
too.
leaning towards the snowboarding number 1, personally. What do you guys think?
I think it's number 1 or number 2. I'm not sure.
I'll go with number 1. I think.
Oh, everyone thinks that your snowboarding accident was a lie. James, are you locking in? Which one are you locking in, James? Before that, do you guys have any other questions for Jeff?
His stories are pretty detailed, but number 1 is just like a bunny slope. I don't know. I'll go with number 1.
That's kind of why I'm choosing number 1 too. Also number 3 with the microwave, the 666. I'm just like, really?
Yeah, it sounds absurd, but maybe it's true.
Right, because number 1, number 2 sounds normal, and then number 3 is kind of wild.
I want to believe number 3 is true because that's kind of cool.
Yeah, me too. He's traumatized for life, but yeah, number 3. I hope it's true.
I think I'll go with number 2. It's the mildest one out there.
Number 2, where him and his fiance almost go to the hospital.
Right.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
You're locking in number 2. I'm locking in number 1. Annie, what you got?
1.
Okay, we got 2 for number 1 and 1 for number 2. Jeff, please tell us which one is the lie.
So some of you are correct. It is number 1 is not correct. I did not break my femur.
Hey.
You guys got me with the bunny slope.
You probably broke something. Did you break something else?
No, I actually didn't break anything. I just really screwed up my leg was all bruised up, but I never went to the hospital or anything like that. They just like gave me ice and whatever and sent me to like the snow patrol thing, not the band.
Pretty believable story though.
Yeah. Number 3 is true though, with the 666 on the microwave. And the way I've always rationalized it was like, maybe I was pushing all of the buttons and then I just happened to hit like the 6 like 3 times in a row. But the weird thing is that it's 4 digits on the microwave. So why would it stop at just 3 digits? To this day, nobody believes us, but my roommate and I knew what we saw and what it was. Now, we also were a little screwed up, but that adds, people don't believe us, but like, it's if you saw Bigfoot, like, you know what you saw, So,
yeah.
Is
I'm looking
666
forward. I'm looking forward to Paranormal Activity 10 with you guys in it.
Is 666 a devil's number or something?
yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. But
Okay.
we never had any issues with any kind of ghosts. But that place was haunted. I don't even care what anybody says. And the other thing is, next to the house, because we rented out the top and the bottom of the house, it was like a fraternity house. Next to us was like an empty lot, and there was a rumor, I don't know how true it is, that the house that was there had burned down previously. So we were thinking maybe if it's true, maybe the thing from the burned down house next door was like haunting our apartment. But I don't know. But we know what we saw and heard.
Maybe the person living in your apartment burned down the next door house, and then now the ghost is
Haunting your microwave.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Thank you very much for sharing your 2 truths, 1 lie.
No
Now's your chance. If you want to tag 2 or 3 people that you think would be interested or interesting enough to have on and do this segment as well. So do you have any people, 2 or 3 people off the top of your head that you want to tag?
Christine Yip.
I mean, if you want to do Christine, you can.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, one of my friends, Jared, and he probably wouldn't do it. And one of my coworkers, Brian.
Cool. Is he a dietitian as well?
He is a dietitian as well. I work with him. He's the other unicorn. So
perfect. Jared and Bryant, we're calling you out.
Yes, he's the same.
I had a question, actually. What is it like working with predominantly females in this field?
Ooh, it's like
so going into it, when your classes are like, there's like 3 guys and like 30 girls, you know that you're going to work with women. But I guess I don't know, I'm like part of the girl talk now. Like, I don't know, it's just, it works out, it's okay. And I was never single or anything like that during any of my schooling or job. So like, it was never.
Is that fortunately or unfortunately?
Sorry to hear
that. Probably very fortunately, if you're watching, very fortunate. But I think, yeah, it's all right. Girls are cool. All right.
Girls are cool. You heard it here first.
Yes, that's right.
You guys have any more questions for Jeff before we let him go?
One more.
Yeah, I got one too.
Sure.
What got you in the hobby of your fish tank? We didn't.
Yeah. So, growing up, my dad did not like animals.
That was a huge sigh for that story.
Well, he did not like animals, and I had always begged for a dog or a cat or anything, just something. And he knew better, because had he allowed me to have them, he would get stuck taking care of it. So one day I come home from like Hebrew school or something like that. I forget what it was. It was on a Sunday. And I go in my room and I hear this bloop, 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 like noise. And I go in there and there's a fish tank in there with a goldfish.
Oh.
And so it started my obsession with fish tanks, and slowly
500 IQ move right there.
It grew and grew. Yeah. And then my dad used to take care of that anyway. So the joke was on him, but then they passed it off to me. So and now I do it.
Off that. You did mention last time when we spoke that there were some rare fish that you used to own or raise. What's the story behind that? Any like that you had?
So some of them are more uncommon. They're called African cichlids. So they live in these freshwater lakes in Africa. There's only 3 lakes that house these fish in the world.
Wow.
And they have like this weird like breeding dance that they do. You could probably Google it, where they just like circle each other and get all colorful and striped up, and like just keep like circling each other like a cartoon, like they're showing off to each other. And the male fish have on their like the bottom of their bottom tail have like these little yellow spots that are called egg spots, and they do that to show the woman, like, look how many eggs I can give you. And so when they breed, they like do this circle thing, and the male starts to the woman like conjures up a bunch of like eggs, like blank eggs, and the male kind of does his thing, and the female runs up to the male's tail and starts catching the stuff and filling up the eggs in her mouth, and then swims around the tank for 3 weeks with eggs in her mouth and doesn't eat anything. And so after they did this dance,
Kind of reminds me of a weird version of Duck Duck Goose from primary school. Duck Duck
yes,
Duck Goose.
but it's a very bizarre thing. That's why I mentioned it. And they're
So
really colorful, beautiful fish, actually.
So what happens after the 3 weeks?
He leaves, and they're never. No, they after the 3 weeks, she spits out the newborn babies into the tank, and they either get devoured. Yeah, without any issue. They're actually it's in their anatomy to go weeks without eating. And so then they spit them out, and they hide in the tank, or they get eaten, one of the two. Some people do what they call stripping the eggs, where you catch the fish and you hold her in your hands, and you take like a Q-tip or something like that, and you hold open the bottom of her mouth, and she spits out the eggs or the fry or the babies, whatever. And then you can kind of in like a little separate container, and then you can choose to raise them separately if you don't want your female to go weeks without eating. It's crazy. I know it's crazy.
It sounds crazy.
Yes, It's fun.
Okay, James, one final question for Jeff. What do you got?
Oh, so what's your favorite breed of cat?
Oh, we got,
if you have one,
fish. We got the cats in. Nice.
Yeah.
I've really only owned, fortunately, 2 cats in my life. They're current. So I'm going to go with American short hairs, because that's what they are, and they're the best. So
what do you like about them? Do they not shed or yak up any hairballs?
Well, they don't get like that super really long like mane that makes them kind of look like, like that you see in all the videos. Like, they look clean, they look sleek. They're just like I don't know, they don't get like super long crazy hair that gets everywhere. So yeah, they do shed, but it's not as bad. And they I don't know, they're really cute. They're good. They're good cats.
Man, you would get along with my cousins Tina and also Alex. Love cats.
Yeah, cats are amazing.
Yeah,
they take care of themselves, and they're really good companions. They're awesome.
I have this conspiracy theory that they kind of take over your mind, because my cousin Tina was an entirely different person prior to owning a cat, and now she's like a cat zombie.
I'll let you know in like a month or so. We'll see.
Okay,
so far so good.
That wraps us up. Jeff, again, thank you very much. I want to just give you a very big shout out, a very big thank you for joining us on the show. It's been a lot of fun. We learned a lot. Do you have any links or social media you want to shout out, or any causes that you want to give a shout out to?
You can follow my Instagram at @what_the_buck. You can be like my, I don't know, 80th follower. Yay. No, honestly, the only thing I really want to shout out is not a specific organization, but all the healthcare workers that are out there on the front lines, busting their ass every single day, keeping everybody safe. Stay home, do the right thing, be good. Love you. Thanks.
All right.
Awesome.
You heard it here first. Thank you very much. And
thank you
for all the healthcare workers out there putting their life at risk so we can all stay at home. So stay at home. And for everyone at home, don't forget to stay redonkulous. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thanks, Jeff.
Take care.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
What about what?
You don't want your juvenile on your bagel?
No. I'm a little tired of the orange flavor.
Isn't that what your juice is made of?
That's true.
Jeff, I should invite you over for brunch just to hear this on the weekends.
Redonkulous. It's the Jeff and Annie and James Redonkulous show. Yeah.
Awesome.